Hello everyone, it's Shannon here, and welcome to the Card Crafters Collaborative Video Hop. This month's theme is Summer Sizzle. So today we're going to create this really fun fireworks card featuring a new stencil from the Hero Arts June card kit of the month. But first, we're going to ink blend the front of this A2 top folding white card base. I'm going to start with this orange reactive ink. This is Creamsicle. Reactive inks are a hybrid ink. They're a blend of pigment and dye, so they blend so beautifully. Plus, they're water reactive, so there's lots of fun watercoloring techniques you can do with them. But today we're keeping it simple and just ink blending a gradation over the front of this card base. So first was the Creamsicle, then the pink was Taffy. Now I'm moving on to Grape Juice, which is kind of this lighter purple. Once we finish kind of blending that down, we'll move on to an even darker purple, which I love. This is Purple Galaxy. It's a gorgeous, rich, a little bit more on the blue side, purple, really, really pretty. Great way to finish off this ombre. Now I'm just going back through my colors and just kind of fine tuning and smoothing out that gradation between them and also intensifying them a little bit here and there. So we're almost done here with our blend. And don't worry about the bottom. The bottom looks a little bit messy, but that's where our buildings are going to go. So it's going to cover that all up. So here's that stencil that is a part of the June card kit of the month from Hero Arts. There's a whole bunch of other stamps and dies in that kit, but we're going to just use this stencil from that kit today. I'm going to place it down here on that lower third of my card front, use a few pieces of tape to hold that stencil in place, and you might notice that the end of my card base is sticking out or is not covered by the stencil, and that's going to make sure we have this beautiful seamless blend of the buildings. I'm going to ink blend over this stencil with a dark gray. This is charcoal from Hero Arts. This is one of their core inks, which is a dye ink, so it's going to dry really nice and quickly, which is good because in 2 steps later we are actually going to heat emboss over this panel, so everything needs to be dry. So I'm almost done here with the buildings, just keeping it nice and dark. I really like the contrast of these dark buildings against that ombre sunsetty sky. Now we're going to grab the insert for the stencil, and this is going to allow you to create the building or the windows to the buildings. I'm going to use a black ink and very heavy-handedly ink blend over all the little windows with this black ink to build up that contrast. So even though it's only like a shade darker than the gray, you're still going to be able to see it. And the nice thing about it is it's not too much contrast where it's going to make this over busy this panel or this card front. Okay, so now that I've removed that stencil, we've got our buildings done. They look great. I love, again, that contrast of those buildings against that ombre background. And right now, this card is actually a single layer card, which is pretty cool. Nice for mailing. So now I'm heat setting. Here's where I really want to make sure all of that ink is dry. And there's a lot of ink on there. I did dry this for quite a while with my heat gun here, and I'm now testing it by dipping my card front into some embossing powder and just seeing where it's sticking. If it doesn't stick, then we're good to go, but I do have a couple spots up there in the upper left corner in some of the windows a little bit where the gold embossing powder is sticking, so I'm just going to take my brush it right off, and then I will go ahead and dry this a little bit more with my heat tool. So, and then once it's dry, and once I feel like it's dry enough, I'm now ready to actually heat emboss. So I have my bold print stamp here. This is the Sparkling Fireworks bold print stamp. This is a red rubber cling, and it stamps beautifully, and I love it. I love all of Hero Arts cling stamps. They're just so fun, great for backgrounds, great for techniques. I've removed the foam pad in my Misty. You need to remove your foam pad if you have a Misty and you're stamping with these cling stamps. Placed a piece of scrap paper inside, and I'm just going to stamp it now with some light ink just to get my bearings of where the image is, and that's going to help me to better position my card according to, getting what part of the fireworks I want or things centered, even though it doesn't matter so much for this design, but this is a very helpful technique for a very symmetrical design if you really want to get everything like centered on your card front. So I just took a clear acetate panel that's A2 in dimensions, centered it over the design that I wanted, traced around it, and then that was where I would place, or that is where I am placing my card inside that rectangle that I traced. So once I get my card in place, I then place the window stencil back over. It's going to work kind of like a mask here to protect our buildings. Used a little bit of tape on the back of my card because it was kind of popping up a little bit. Got a little bit warped from the heat embossing, but it'll start to straighten out after we give it a little bit of time to rest. Put down some anti-static powder, and now I'm going to ink up my bold print stamp in unicorn white pigment ink. This is a Hero Arts ink. It's the best white out there, but I also love it for heat embossing. I've found that I've really improved my heat embossing by using this pigment ink. And even though I'm going to actually heat emboss this in gold embossing powder, that's going to completely cover up the white and it's going to look beautiful. I just find my designs are a lot crisper with the pigment ink. And you can really use any pigment ink, but I do really like this unicorn pigment ink. It's kind of a dual purpose ink because you'll use it for all your white pigment ink needs, but also it's wonderful for heat embossing. So I just dipped it into the gold embossing powder, using my brush to remove any excess powder that might stick a little bit, but for the most part it stamped, or the embossing powder stuck beautifully to only the areas that I stamped with that bold print stamp. Now I'm just heat setting all that embossing powder, and look at that beautiful fireworks sky. So fun, really shiny, really pretty. I love it. It's perfect, I think, for the theme for this this video hop. Now I'm going to grab this sentiment set to create my sentiment. This is Birthday Stamp and Cut XL. It comes with the 2 word dies, the Happy Birthday and the Celebrate, as well as the stamp set for all the sub sentiments. I went ahead and die cut the Celebrate out of white cardstock, added foam adhesive to the back side, and now I'm going to go ahead and stick it down on my card front. Once I get that Celebrate stuck down, we are going to adhere our sub sentiment. The sub sentiment, I did stamp it in unicorn white pigment ink onto some pitch black cardstock, dipped it into white embossing powder, and then heat set it. And then I fussy cut it out. I just quickly fussy cut around it, and then I stuck it down, or I am sticking it down to my card front now. I'm doing a little tweaking here because my Celebrate's not quite straight, so I'm lifting it up, and which is actually pretty easy to do thanks to the heat embossing. It's not really sticking like it typically would if it was just paper underneath. And once I get this all straightened out, the card will be complete. So I'll hold it up here to the camera so you get a good look. I love the way it turned out. I think this is such a fun card. Great for birthdays. Could also work for any kind of celebration. I think graduation would be really good, maybe even like anniversary. I hope you guys enjoyed my card and video. Please make sure to check out the other videos in today's hop, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.